Jordan with Renville County Economic Development. Today our presentation is going to be about programs and resources available to assist businesses that have been hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. So on the Zoom call, the GoToMeeting call, excuse me, reset the hard drive there a little bit, is Christine Fisher. Christine is the Associate Director of the Minnesota Small Business Development Center that covers all of Renville County in Southwest Minnesota. They're based out of Southwest Minnesota State in Marshall. She's going to chat a little bit about some of the programs that are available from the feds through the Small Business Administration and others, as well as some programs from the state of Minnesota. Renville County HRA EDA also has some grants that are active right now for businesses and select nonprofits that have been hit by COVID. When Christine's done, then I'm going to chat a little bit about that. So it's kind of a nice 1-2 punch here today. So with that, I'll turn things over to Christine. Thank you so much for making the time to chat with us.
Thank you, Jordan. Stephanie, I don't know if you're running the presentation for me, or is that okay? So if you want to jump to the next slide. So this is just a little bit on what I will cover today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the SBDC for the people that don't know exactly what we do and how we're able to assist you. I'll talk a little bit about the EIDL, the state of Minnesota programs, the federal stimulus package, and then a couple other opportunities that we have in place. So if you want to go to the next slide. So as Jordan had stated, the Small Business Development Center is located out of SMSU in Marshall, and we cover 18 counties in Southwest Minnesota. And what we will do is we will help businesses that with startup, if businesses that are in place that are looking for assistance, maybe looking to expand capital, financial assistance, to bookkeeping, social media, marketing, basically anything that you could think of that your business might need some assistance on. All of the services that we provide are at no cost to our clients, and what you get is one-on-one consulting. So you get assigned a consultant that will work with you on your specific needs. So we just kind of want to set the ground level on what we do and where I'm coming from. So next, if you want to jump to the next slide. First and foremost, I want to clarify I am not a CPA and I am not an expert on all of this information by any means. So I'm sharing what I know to the best of my knowledge at this point in time. If you have additional questions that I'm not aware of or anything, we can do some research and help you out and kind of find some answers on that standpoint. So I want to clarify and set that. So this is the information on what I know and what we know at this time. Last time when the CARES package came out, it changed multiple times. So I do want to state that this is kind of where it's at as of right now. So the first piece is the EIDL loan, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. This was rolled out back in March originally, and it has been extended through December 31st of 2021. So if anybody has not applied for the EIDL loan, you are able to still do that because it extended out from that. Originally, or as of to date, SBA has given out $197 billion in loans that have been approved, and that's 3.6 million loans. So just to kind of give you an idea of how many people have already actually received the EIDL loans. So originally, there was an EIDL advance where you were able to receive $1,000 per employee that you had, up to $10,000. That advance is not in place now. So I do want to make you aware of that. The EIDL is available for small businesses as well as nonprofits. So the rate for small businesses is 3.75%, and for nonprofits, it's 2.75%. So one piece with the advance, And if you received the advance originally, and then you also applied for the PPP, the way the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program was written was that your forgiveness would be reduced by the amount of advance that you received. With the new Appropriations Act that just got approved in late December, that has actually changed. And SBA will actually be reimbursing loans where that was reduced. So the reimbursement will actually go back to the lenders. And so if you've had a PPP and have already applied for your forgiveness and the amount was reduced by the advance that you received, you'll want to follow up with your lender on that to make sure that you get reimbursed that piece. So SBA is automatically reimbursing the lenders for that. One other piece, just to kind of make you aware of it, all of these loans go directly through SBA. They do not go through a lender. And so what we have found is out of the initial rounds or a lot of the initial loans, that there have been some fraudulent loans. We've heard from 4 or 5 at our center directly from businesses that did not take out the EIDL loan, but they've received information that they owe it back. And so it's just something to be aware of, that if you do get some information stating that you owe on an EIDL loan, that there are people that have taken out loans in other people's names and businesses. So if that is something that's happened to you, you do want to notify SBA on that, because that is an issue that they have come across. So, and I don't know how we're addressing questions. If we want to have questions kind of after each section, wait till the end.
Whatever you prefer, ma'am. If you're
Okay.
willing to take questions as they come up, I'd say just roll with it if that's cool.
So any questions on the EIDL loan at this point in time? Okay. Then with that, we will move forward on to the state of Minnesota, the COVID-19 business relief payment. So what this is for is basically any businesses that were required to close or reduce service under the EO 2099. So that's going to be your gyms, your restaurants, your bars from that standpoint. If they had sales in over $10,000 of taxable sales in 2019, and you filed your quarterly sales tax returns in both 19 and 2020 and show a sales drop of over 30% from April through September, what the state of Minnesota would do is, based on the number of employees you have in the UI, unemployment insurance system, you will automatically receive the payment. So this was approved in December, and payments are expected to come out, they said, early January. So, and payments would be sent to whatever address is on file with your sales tax account. So, and they said that as of December 31st, notifications were sent through e-services. So all of that information you should probably be already aware of. Some may have already received their funds. So, and then it does show kind of down, the payment is based on the number of employees you have. So, you know, from 1 to 20 employees, you get $15,000. There's nothing you need to do to get this. The state of Minnesota is automatically taking care of that for you, as long as you meet the criteria. Okay.
Christine, I will mention quick, I was on a telephone conference this morning and backward, or, you know, had heard from several businesses that they had no luck connecting with the state of Minnesota on this. They weren't they weren't receiving a grant, they thought they were eligible. Apparently there's going to be an appeals process coming out probably next week on their website where you can, if you, they say you're not eligible, but you feel you are, you can appeal it. So as we see more on that, follow us on social media. We'll be posting that info on our social media accounts. So for any businesses that are in that boat.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jordan. Okay. Next is a couple of grant opportunities that the state of Minnesota has put together. The first one is a convention center relief grant, and that is available for up to $500,000 for eligible convention centers. So one piece with that is the convention center needs to accommodate 1,500 people, and the primary purpose has to be for a convention center. They have to show a decline of 30% in revenue for Q2 and Q3 of 2020. And the amount of the grant would be based on the size. And then that money can be utilized for taxes, payroll, utilities, insurance, etc. So they also said it's dependent upon the number of applicants that they get. The deadline to apply for that is January 29th. So you do want to make sure that you're meeting that deadline if that's something that you're interested in. And then along with that is the movie theater relief grant. And what that is up to $150,000. Again, it's based on, dependent upon the number of applicants they get. You need to show the 30% decline. And what that is it's $15,000 per screen. So if you have a multiple screen theater, it'd be $15,000 for the first 2 screens, and then $10,000 per screen after that, up to $150,000. And again, it can be utilized on the same thing: taxes, payroll, utilities, insurance, etc. So, any questions on that program, those grant programs? And those programs are handled by the Department of Employment and Economic Development with Minnesota. Okay. Then we'll move forward into the second federal stimulus package, also known as the Consolidated Appropriations Act, sometimes referred to as CAA. So if you hear that, one piece to kind of give you, I don't know how many people saw this, but to give you an idea, this whole act was 5,500 pages. And I saw a thing on Facebook that had 11 reams of paper. So if you think of a ream of paper and put 11 of them, that's how big this bill was. So needless to say, I don't know that there's a whole lot of people that have read it completely. So, and like I said, I am definitely not an expert on this. I have sat through a few different webinars and stuff on it. So the information that I'm sharing is kind of what I've received from there, give you maybe a little bit more of the highlights, and then you can do, additional checking and reference if you want from that standpoint. So the first piece of this with the PPP is if you have not done an initial draw of the PPP, you are now eligible or to go back and do an initial draw of the PPP. So it's the payroll protection program, and essentially what the PPP is expected to do is to cover your expenses, your payroll expenses, as well as some additional funds. 60% of the money received needs to be utilized for payroll. And what you receive is 2.5 times what your monthly payroll is. So, and then it can be used for utilities, rent. A couple things that they did add with this new package is it can be used for software. If you had to update your software or something because you have more people doing remote work, PPP equipment. So if you needed personal protection equipment, if you needed to buy masks and stuff like that for your employees or something from that standpoint. If you had property damage or looting from everything that went on during the summer and into the fall, that can be now covered under the PPP. Another thing that we learned is insurance. We kind of thought before that the health insurance was covered, but it actually goes beyond the health insurance to cover dental, disability, life insurance. So all of those expenses it can be put towards as well. So it is a loan, and what happens is once you receive the loan, then after you utilize the funds, you can apply for forgiveness with your lender. So all of this goes through SBA lenders. Another piece with that is expenses. Originally, the thought process was that the PPP funds would not be taxable, but then you could not utilize those deductions. That has changed. So even if you use the deductions for the PPP, you can still deduct them from your taxes as well. So that is a change. Another piece that came about is that there was a SBA tax release. So if you had like a SBA loan where the payments were forgiven, all of that, like an ELD, the EIDL advance, all of that is now will not be taxed going forward. Another piece that came out of the CAA is the simplified form for forgiveness. So SBA has like 24 days to come up with a one-page report that can be utilized for forgiveness on the original round 1 PPP. So if you received round 1 PPP and you have not done your forgiveness request yet, it might be worthwhile to wait until SBA comes out with that one-page request, and that's for loans with less than $150,000.
Hey, Christine, we have a question in the chat box. It says, what about tax deduction from the state level? Their accountant is saying that the federal level you can deduct, but Minnesota you cannot.
That's a good question. I have information more on a federal level on what's taxable and what's not. I guess I do not know from the state level. I don't know if we have any CPAs or anybody on that's willing to speak up that has that information.
Hi, this is Laura Schmidt. Yes, it is correct. The federal, it is tax exempt, but Minnesota has not conformed to that.
Thank you very much. So yeah, everything that I'm talking is from the federal level. So that's good to know. So from the federal level, it is can be deducted. From the state level, or from the state standpoint, apparently not yet, or not at all. We'll see if they change that. So okay. So we'll go on to next for the PPP for round 2. So if you received the PPP in round 1, you are still able to apply for a PPP for round 2, as long as you're able to show a loss of revenue of 25%. For any quarter in 2020 versus 2019. So that is one key, as well as you have to have 300 employees or less, and that's part-time and full-time. The initial round 1 PPP had a 500 employee limit. So the limit has dropped down. There is a 2 million maximum. Again, 60% of it needs to go towards payroll. And the loan amount would be 2.5% of your average monthly payroll. One piece with round 2 is if your NAICS code begins with a 72. So basically that's going to be your accommodations and food service. Again, your hotels, your restaurants, your bars, that type of businesses, they actually can receive 3.5 times of the payroll for the loan. Again, it's going to be forgivable, but you'll need to apply for the forgiveness. And the loan, if you were to keep the loan and not utilize it, it's a 1% interest rate for 5 years. So for the most part, your banks, they want you to apply for the forgiveness to keep that. They don't want to necessarily keep loans on the books for 1%. The deadline is March 31st of this year. And what we are coming across is your best option is probably to go to your bank, because we found a lot of them that if you don't actually bank with them, they actually won't take on and work with you as a client for this loan. So that's what a lot of them have kind of come across, because if it does not, they don't want to keep the 1% loan on the books and stuff. So a lot of them have been working just with the clients that they have on a regular basis. These loans for the second round of PPP actually have opened up as of Monday. So last time the money did go rather quickly. We would recommend, or that if you are looking to apply for that, that you apply for it rather soon. Okay. We'll go to the next slide. The next piece, which a lot of people didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to when the first round of PPP came around, because they went that direction. So this is the employee retention tax credit. And originally it stated that if you do the PPP, you cannot take advantage of this tax credit. That has changed, that you are able to take advantage of the tax credit as long as you're not claiming the same wages for both programs. So what the employee retention tax credit does is 50% of your payroll taxes up to $5,000 can be credited. Like I said, if you did, originally was if you didn't take round 1, so a lot of people just kind of disregarded that, went with the PPP, but they have changed it, and it's actually extended through June 30th of 2021. So like I said, you can utilize both of them, but as you're filling out your forgiveness, that's something to be thinking about. Only 60% of your PPP has to be utilized towards payroll. There's other expenses. So as you're thinking about that and how this tax credit could come into play, you want to make sure you're thinking about that information as you're filing for your forgiveness. And this is something that you'd want to check with your accountant on as well. So that's kind of something that a lot of people put to the back, but is more pertinent now that they made the change in the second round here. Okay. We'll go to the next slide. So another thing that came out of the second stimulus package is business meals. In the past, they've always been deductible at 50%. And again, this is for federal, 50%. For 2 years, for 2021 and 2022, business meals will be deductible at 100%. So if you have business reasons, you know, that you're taking in people out for dining and stuff, that's something that you're able to utilize moving forward, trying to stimulate people going out for meals. So, and then next I have just kind of a couple throw-in ones. Not that I know a lot on, but I will mention it. And if they are pertinent to you, it's something that you can definitely bring forward. So there's an energy efficiency deduction in its tax provision 179D, where $1.80 per square foot for commercial buildings if you meet certain energy criteria. So this has been permanently extended. So if you have recently done an addition or an expansion of any part of your physical building, it's maybe an efficiency deduction that you could look at, and it'd be something that you definitely want to check with your CPA on. The other part is a new multifamily. It's tax provision 45L, where you can receive $2,000 per unit if you have a new or a substantial renovation of a multifamily unit. So, and then that's been extended for 1 year. So these are things that are kind of in place, but through this program, they have been extended. So it's in kind of a nice to know if either one of those pertain to you from that perspective. Another piece I don't have a slide on, but the shuttered venue operators grant is coming out, and this is for live venues, live performing arts, theater. From the federal, they have a grant program that's going in place. SBA actually has a webinar tomorrow, January 14th at 2 p.m. Central Time. So I would say that's something that if that fits into, you know, what you do, something you definitely want to go on and check into more. Okay, and then a couple additional resources that the SBDC and the SBA have. The first one is a Boots to Business Reboot. And this is a program that the SBA puts on for veterans. And normally it kind of travels around the state in different locations. They're actually having a virtual one on Thursday, January 28th. It's from 8 to 4. It's a long piece, but it is at no cost for veterans or their spouses. So if that's something, I have the information there. If it's something that you'd be interested in and want the actual link, let me know and I can send it to you. The other piece is the SAVE training that the SBDC is putting on. And we've recognized that with everything going on with the pandemic and stuff, a lot of people are overstressed. It's a suicide prevention. It's geared towards veterans, but it's pertinent to all individuals kind of right now going through the pandemic. And so it's just something that we're hearing more about and wanted to make sure everyone's aware of. So that is also a webinar at no cost that they've kind of geared towards everyone. So just a couple opportunities to share there. So, and then the next slide gives our contact information. So if you're looking for services from the SBDC, you can sign up online and you'd be assigned a consultant to help you. If you have specific questions, our email is there, sbdcassist at smsu.edu, and our phone number. So you can reach us any direction that way. So are there any additional questions or? And that's kind of what I had, Jordan.
Awesome, thank you, appreciate that. And if you do have questions down the road, again, their contact info was just up on the screen, or feel free to give me a call or zip me an email. I can get you in touch with the folks at the Small Business Development Center. In good times, they have counselors all across the region, so you'd be working with somebody locally, face to face. Now, in the days of COVID, most of it's done online or over the telephone or a video conference or something. But they're very accommodating folks, very skilled, very good at putting together financing packages. We've worked with them numerous times on different business assistance programs, so don't hesitate to give them a call. So thank you again, Christine. So the next thing we want to talk about is Renville County HRA EDA. Through legislation from the state of Minnesota that came out around the holidays, Renville County is going to be receiving, or is receiving, approximately $280,000 to assist businesses and nonprofits that operate like a business that have been impacted by COVID-19. So the program is now live and ready to go. The application process on our website, which is renville.com. The application is live. These grants are on a first come, first served basis. And preference is being, or priority, I should say, is being given to businesses that were impacted by Minnesota Executive Order 2099, bars, restaurants, fitness centers, things like that. So how this is going to work, if you previously applied for our CARES Act application last fall, this is going to look very similar to that type of structure. What it is, it's based on reimbursements for eligible expenses. We've got the items that we can reimburse for a little bit further down the application, but we'll just walk through this a little bit. So eligible applicants must be a Renville County business, physically located in Renville County and adversely affected by the pandemic. Applicants can include nonprofits operating as a business or for-profit corporations, partnerships, LLC, sole proprietor, locally privately owned franchise entity types. Restaurants and bars receiving grants from the state of Minnesota that Christine was chatting about here a little bit ago through the state of Minnesota revenue or deed are eligible for this grant program. Businesses must be in operation prior to January 1st. We're backpedaling that a little bit. So we've got restaurants and bars that were previously or had opened since January 1st of 2020. So feel free to contact me and we'll discuss that. But know that we're going to be changing that on there. Must be current on their business property taxes as of the end of 2019. Applicant must be in compliance with the local, state, and federal regulations. Demonstrate that they were adversely impacted by COVID-19. You must be in good standing with the Secretary of State. Must have no current liens on record with the Minnesota Secretary of State, tax liens to be eligible. And then the minimum grant is going to be $250. So those are some of the fine print. Again, this is all on the application. Ineligible businesses, corporate chains, or multi-state chains. If you are a franchise of a big outfit, multi-state chain, that, you know, as long as you're a local franchisee, we're happy to work with you. But if you're corporately owned from a big multi-state chain, not possible there. Businesses that primarily sell pawn, merchandise, tobacco, or vaping products, generate revenue from gambling or adult-oriented activities would not be eligible. Businesses that derive income from passive investment, business-to-business transaction, real estate transactions, property rentals or property management, billboards or lobbying, not eligible. However, we have heard that rumblings that there will be some assistance for landlords and for renters coming down. Don't have any dates or times or additional info on that, but I have heard that that is in the works. As we know more, we'll definitely let you know on that. Home-based businesses not eligible. Agriculture businesses that derive the majority of their income from the raising of crops or livestock would not be eligible as well. And as we scroll down just a little bit, so allowable grant reimbursement expenses. As mentioned, this is based on reimbursement. So we can reimburse you for rent or mortgage, or your business for rent or mortgage for the months of October, November, and December of 2020. The same for utilities, October, November, December of 2020. Water, sewer, electric, gas, telephone, et cetera, the typical utilities. Your business's property taxes for the months of March through December of 2020. Same time period for business insurance. Your payroll for the months of October, November, and December would be eligible. If you have other expense, we strongly encourage you to submit those instead for our $5,000 max, as there may be some PPP assistance for you or for your business. We're trying to get you as much money as we possibly can. So I'm happy to chat with that and walk through that with you each individually. Funds cannot be used to replace lost revenue, and reimbursement requests for the HRA EDA relief grant program cannot be used to cover other COVID related expenses. So basically, we can't double dip, reimburse for the same thing. Other consideration, again, must be compliance with government regulations. If there's anyone with a conflict of interest, we'll wrestle with that at the time. Our maximum grant is $5,000. We've got a limited number of funds. We're trying to help as many businesses and nonprofits that operate as businesses as we possibly can. The actual grant amount, again, is going to be based on your on reimbursement. Sorry, folks, keep calling to set up appointments. I apologize for that. There's no fees, no repayment. It is a true grant. We will potentially, per the funding sources, require some additional info from you, updates from you periodically, but that should be fairly minimal. You can read the rest of them. You don't need to hear me read through all that stuff. Basically, how this works is download the application, review it. If you're eligible, give me a call, and we're doing this via appointments. As mentioned, those impacted by Executive Order 2099 have the highest priority, and we're actually going to be meeting with those folks tomorrow. The first day is reserved just for those folks to submit their application. We'll review it together. Meetings will be at the Renville County Government Service Center, that 1990s, early 2000s vintage building, right on Highway 212 across the street from the historic 100-plus-year-old courthouse. We'll be social distanced in the basement. We ask that you please wear a mask. We'll be as safe as we possibly can. Bring the documentation into us. We don't want your originals. Photocopies work fine for us, so we've got it for our files so we can make those grants. We do require documentation. We cannot accept internally generated financials. You know, if you're asking us to cover your water bill from the city, we'll need a copy of that utility bill to prove what it was for the time period that we're covering on that one. So if you have any questions on that, don't hesitate to give me a call. Again, we're done via appointments on that one. So as I take a drink, the actual application, the name of the business, what type of organization are you, set up as a sole proprietor corporation, other, how long you've been in business, your ID numbers, mailing address, physical address, all that kind of stuff, basically the nuts and bolts. If you're a for-profit business, who the principals are. As we scroll down a little bit, your primary lender and secondary lender if you have financing. So we know who that is. We'll have to check to confirm that your business was in good standing with your lender before all the COVID started here this past spring. Was your business closed by an executive order from October, November, December, or mandated to reduce at a reduced or operate at a reduced capacity? If you were not mandated, for those that were not mandated by executive order, we will require a copy of your P&L, statement profit and loss, from 19 and 20 to show that your business was indeed adversely impacted by COVID-19. And so we scroll down. Did your business receive any grants or from the state of Minnesota? If so, how much? Did you receive any other of those programs listed? List any of the programs and specify the source and dollar amount of those. How has your business been directly and adversely impacted by COVID-19? If you could just write out a few lines for us, letting us know how you've been affected. Was the current business, or was your business current on their obligations as of this spring? Number of jobs before all the pandemic started, number of jobs at the time of application. How was your business's sales done? Stayed flat, up, down, and percentage-wise. Some of the fine print on there, I won't read through all that, but you'll agree to that stuff and then sign it and bring it with you. So here's the eligible expense worksheet. Again, we kind of walked through this, but we can cover your mortgage for your business or rent for the months of October, November, December. And again, we'll need documentation on that. Utilities, again, documentation needed for the months of October, November, and December. Your business's property taxes for March through December. Just bring in a copy of your property tax statement for that. And we can prorate it and lop off the first 2 months of 2020. Insurance, same situation for the months of March through December. Payroll, again, mentioning that I would kind of consider that our last resort. If you have other expenses, we encourage you to put those first in an effort to try to get you some PPP dollars, trying to get as much funds in your pocket as possible. So you can do the math, add it up, signature that you agree that everything is true and accurate. We also require businesses to submit a W-9 form so we know who to pay. So we've got the form on there. You can fill that out. Nothing fancy required. You can handwrite that as long as it's legible. Say that 5 times fast. And then there's our checklist. So that's what we're going to be using. You should probably skim through that too, making sure you have all the information needed. Again, we're going to be taking appointments on this. For those that were impacted by Executive Order 2099, those appointments will be tomorrow, Thursday the 14th. Then for businesses that have not directly been impacted by that executive order, but have been adversely impacted, and again, we'll need proof of that financial impact through the P&Ls, but we'll be meeting 2 days next week. The first day is next Tuesday, I believe. I'll have to dig that out to confirm, but I believe that is it. How that works, yeah, there we go. January 19th from 2 to 7 p.m. We'll have appointments as well, and the 20th from 12:30 to 4 p.m. Yeah, that's the Reader's Digest condensed version in 15 minutes on this program. We stand for any questions, happy to answer, or our contact info is on our website there, 523-3837, area code 320-523-3837. Want to talk to me offline, discuss the situation or a little more in depth, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give me a ring on that. But I'll shut up now for a moment and see if anybody has any questions. Well, I used to have a boss who used to say that silence is affirmation. So I know this is like drinking from a fire hose, friends. One other thing I'll leave you with here today is if you are on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Renville County Housing and Economic Development has Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter profiles. Our main one is Facebook. But to let you know, please feel free to follow us. We put info on grants as they become available. Different programs available to assist. So for the latest information, by all means, please follow us on social media. We'll try to pass this along. Also, don't ever hesitate to pick up the phone and give us a call. We're happy to chat with you, brainstorm. As my dad says, we'll figure out a way to put a square peg in a round hole. We got a really big hammer. You chat with us about the issues, and we've got our business assistance directory and other resources we'll try to connect you with. Either free or very, very low cost to help, and we'll try to solve your problem as best we can. So know that is always available to you as well. Any questions? I'm all good. I see there's something in the chat box there. The weather doesn't sound very nice tomorrow. Yes, if we do bump into that, give me a call and we'll see if we can figure out some rescheduling. But hoping for the best on the winter weather for tomorrow. So.
Jordan?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, this is Michelle over at Mid-Minnesota Development Commission. I just thought I would just remind everyone too, if there's any assistance needed really on anything that's been covered today. We are happy to help, if it's just a matter of reviewing documents or, wordsmithing or helping you figure out what data to pull. We're happy to help with that at no cost as well.
Awesome. We appreciate that. Thank you. Any other questions? Going once. Going twice. I'm sold to the lady in the second row. Oh, sorry, that was Country Son. Was listening to K100 Real Country. Big Country, I guess they are these days. So sorry. You don't need to hear me sing karaoke. That's not a very attractive situation. So anything else for the good of the order? Myself or Christine, questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, then on behalf of Renville County HRA and EDA, we thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for operating your business here in Renville County. Again, if there's anything we can do to assist, even to just to brainstorm and try to figure out how to put that square peg in a round hole, please do not hesitate to give us a call or drop us an email. We're happy to chat anytime, day or night, to see what we can do to assist you and make Renville County a great place. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.